So, Indiana Pacers season preview. Last year, they finished with a 34-39 record, which meant they are the 9 seed in the East, which meant they're in the play-in. In the first round of the play-in, they beat the Charlotte Hornets, but then they lost to the Wizards in the next round of the play-in. So overall, I think their season, they did struggle with injuries, and they also had maybe a not great coach, so I'd expect them to be a little bit better this year. This offseason, in the draft, they drafted Chris Duarte with the 13th pick. They're also involved in that crazy Russell Westbrook trade, and they ended up with the number 22 pick. With the number 22 pick, they drafted Isaiah Jackson. They also signed Torrey Craig, and maybe their best move of the offseason is they hired Rick Carlisle to replace Nate Bjorkgren. I think Carlisle is a proven NBA head coach. He led the Mavs to the 2011 championship, and I think he's a great offensive mind. I expect that just having a really good NBA head coach and someone who can really help them out offensively could make a difference for them this year. But they did lose Doug McDermott and Aaron Holiday during the offseason. So overall, didn't do much this offseason. I mean, I feel like the Pacers never make drastic moves, but I would say it was a solid offseason, and I'm excited to see what their coaching change can change about the franchise and hopefully improve for them. If I look at projected starting lineup at point guard, Malcolm Brogdon. Last year he averaged 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. I mean, he's like the definition of a solid point guard. I feel like he's good at almost everything, and not like amazing at anything, but almost has no weaknesses. He's a good pick and roll ball handler, he's a good playmaker, can make good basic passes, is usually a quite efficient shooter, can shoot the three, can shoot the mid-range, can get to the basket and finish at the rim. I mean, yeah, just a really good, solid all-around point guard. We'll see how Carlisle uses him, whether the offense is run through Sabonis and Brogdon is a bit more off-ball, or whether he does want to run it through the guards and Brogdon and LeVert are more involved and it's more pick and roll, things like that. So I'm excited to see how Brogdon is used because he is very versatile, has good size, and has a lot of abilities and things that he can do. Karis LeVert, who I thought they did really well to pick up in that James Harden trade where they basically swapped Oladipo for him. He averaged 21 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5 assists with the Pacers last year. I think, there were some problems, maybe him fitting in, just maybe taking, too many shots away from the Pacers' established order of Brogdon and Sabonis. But I feel like, now that everyone is healthy, the Pacers just have a lot of options. I mean, looking at their starting lineup, 4 guys who can average 25 plus points in Brogdon, LeVert, Warren, and Sabonis. I think it'll be interesting to see how that's balanced out. I think LeVert probably gives them a bit more shot creation where he doesn't really need a screen or anything like that. He can just ISO by himself, but I feel like it's also a good idea to get him moving off ball. He can spot up, he can come off screens and finish at the rim. So things like that. So he's another good scorer in the Pacers offense, and I also feel like there's still room to grow with LeVert, whether it's the off-the-dribble threes or maybe a bit more playmaking. He has developed in that area, so we'll see. I'm excited to see what the future holds for Karis LeVert. TJ Warren, who was injured last season, only played like 4 games, but the year before averaged 20 points on 40% from 3. And yeah, he's another scorer. I feel like he's probably their best 3-point shooter. I think he gives them the most off-ball. He also can turn into Michael Jordan in certain stretches, like he did in the bubble run when he had like a crazy 53-point game. So, we'll see how he comes back from the injury. I also think he gives them good size. Like overall, the Pacers, like what's Brogdon, 6'5", LeVert, probably something like that. Warren is good size, and then Sabonis and Turner, like they're a really big team. So I think that could compensate for maybe a little bit of lack of individual defensive skill with LeVert, Warren, and Sabonis. So yeah, I'm excited to see how TJ Warren comes back. He is on an expiring contract, so he'll probably want to have good numbers and do well. And you hope that LeVert, Warren, all these new guys coming in playing together, the Pacers offense will still run smoothly and there'll be enough shots for everyone. Damonte Sabonis averaged 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 6.7 assists last year. Those numbers were higher than I expected. I mean, the playmaking, how you can run your offense through him, whether it's him as a low post threat and guys screening and running off ball off that, or even him handling the ball, running handoff plays, faking handoff plays. I think, he gives them a good option at the big man position as an offensive hub with their guard and wing scorers around him. I think he is in a position where with Turner, I think the fit is a bit awkward, but I also think they sort of do help each other out with Turner being able to defend and shoot threes at an okay level. I think we'll see with Sabonis, how much Carlisle wants to post up. He wants to post him up. Rick Carlisle also has an infamous, it's a pretty famous quote where he says the post up just isn't a good shot and it just isn't efficient. He said that about Porzingis posting up. He said that even about Luka posting up. So we'll see how much Sabonis post stuff there is. I would suspect maybe a bit more screen setting, maybe a bit more handoffs this year, which I think is something to be excited about. I think, he's a good finisher at the rim, and if you can get him going downhill, that could open up easier looks and improve his efficiency even more. And then Miles Turner last year averaged 12.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 3.4 blocks a game. I mean, he's really the defensive anchor of this team, being able to protect the rim. I think he's sort of in that Gobert mold where he's a really good rim protector against guards and wings, but sometimes can get bullied by the top centers like Jokic and Embiid. But I think his defense is super valuable, and that rim protector mold of player is super valuable. I think offensively, we'll see how much he does. His 3-point shooting, I think everyone thinks it's a little bit better than it is. It's about 34% from 3, which isn't terrible, but it's not great. So we'll see if the percentages come up, or maybe if he's doing a little bit more, on the inside in terms of, I don't know how many post-ups he'll get or anything like that, but there could be some pick and roll potential. There can be some slipping screens potential with Turner. He does move pretty decently. So, yeah, I think Turner has an important role in this team with his defense and shot blocking. And then offensively, we'll see how much is spotting up versus how much is him actually being involved. Off the bench, I think this team is decently deep, especially at the sort of guard wing position. TJ McConnell averaged 8.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 2 steals a game last year. I mean, he's just one of those players that seems super annoying to play against, always in the passing lanes, always looking to pick defenders' pockets. And then offensively, he'll be able to run the bench unit. I think he's also, you can play him with some of the starters because he gives you something defensively, and he's a decent shooter, so I like TJ McConnell. Chris Duarte, he's the rookie, but he is quite old. I believe he's 24, 25, so he should be able to contribute right away. He gives them shooting. He gives them a little bit of shot creation. I'd expect them to sort of be in that LeVert Warren mold, coming off the bench, giving them offense, giving them spacing. Jeremy Lamb, who averaged 10 points on 40% from 3. I think he's also a solid backup, decent two-way player. I think the shooting is also big. I think this team, if they're going to continue to play Sabonis and Turner, need shooters around them, and I think they're well equipped to do that between the starters and then also Duarte and Lamb. Torrey Craig, who they signed, I suspect he'll be their option if they want to go a bit smaller with only one of Sabonis and Turner. Craig can play the 4. He gives them a bit of toughness. The 3-point shooting is a little streaky, but if he's making them, it's all good. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see, who they go for if they don't want to play Sabonis and Turner together so much. They obviously tried to trade Turner for Gordon Hayward, I believe, last offseason. So, that is sort of their vision, I would assume. So I think guys like the bench guys like Craig, Lamb, Duarte could be important in smaller lineups. O'Shea Brissett, who they picked up last season and who was really a monster for them, towards, the back quarter of the season, averaged 11 points and 5.5 rebounds. He's a really good rebounder. He's a really good hustle guy. His three-pointer was also falling, so we'll see if his run was just sort of a bit fluky or if he can continue and become a quality backup. And then Goga Batadze at backup center. I mean, I think most of the backup centers minutes will either be Sabonis and Turner, just depending on how much they want to play those guys together. But Batadze is a fine backup if, for the minutes they don't have Sabonis or Turner at center. So yeah, I think the Pacers have a lot of decent, solid players, and I think they're going to be good, but the East is just tough. I mean, you obviously have Nets, Bucks, Heat, and Sixers, so I think that's the top four. And then you get to teams like Celtics, Hawks, Knicks, Bulls. Like, I could easily see the Pacers being in that group, just because of how much depth they have, and how they just have a lot of really solid players, and I think Carlisle's a good coach. But then again, I feel like the Pacers don't really have the top end talent of those teams. So, if I'm doing it right now, I could really see the Pacers being in the top 8 and, even competing for, a 5 or 6 seed. But, right now, like, I think one of those teams, like one of the Celtics, Hawks, Knicks, Bulls, could face injuries or, could not fit well together. And I just know the Pacers are going to be a really solid team around 500. So, I could say I'm going to predict them a bit higher. Like, let's say I predicted the 7 seed, but then I would be like predicting one of probably a more talented team to finish way lower than they should. So I'm going to say, around the 9, 10, 11 seed, but definitely have potential to be higher than that, and I think they actually could be higher than that. I just don't know what teams are going to be below them. So anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys next time.